Hey everyone, it's Dr. Cam joining you again for a little educational video about the testosterone epidemic and what the benefits are of having higher testosterone. So a lot of guys obviously associate testosterone with athletic performance, masculinity, virility, and vitality, but they don't know exactly what it is and how it works. And so hopefully this will give you a great little primer on exactly that. So first I want to talk about the problem, which is that testosterone has actually declined 50 to 65% over the last 50 years, depending on whether you're measuring total testosterone or bioavailable testosterone. But I didn't even believe this statistic when I first read it. I actually went and found the research paper that has been following this trend over time, and it has been declining. The other interesting thing is that sperm count has also decreased by 50% over the last 50 years. And they're calling this fertility epidemic, so that if this trend continues to decline linearly, we'll essentially achieve what's called sperm count zero sometime in the year 2040, 2045. Now, I don't think that's actually going to happen, but it is quite concerning that, our fertility and our ability to conceive is declining. And so Forbes actually wrote an article about this with a great, very catchy title, "You're Not the Man That Your Father Was," because he probably had twice the testosterone and twice the sperm that you do. And that's an interesting, by the way, misconception. Testosterone does seem to decline with age on average, but if you look at the healthiest men, they actually can maintain their testosterone levels even into older age and, quite frankly, maintain their ability to conceive into their 60s. So it's not inevitable that your testosterone declines as you get older, but unfortunately it has been inevitable that as part of this generation it's been declining, so that if you're a man in 2022, your testosterone levels are definitely, unfortunately, lower than a man who's the same age in 1972. In addition to the declines in testosterone and sperm count, there's a decline in grip strength. So it's not just this biomarker in your blood, but it actually has a functional impact in that guys within the last 20 years or so have decreased their grip strength by about 16%. And also the psychological aspect has been affected as well. If you ask guys over the age of 65, or kind of like father's age, 82% of them consider themselves highly masculine. While if you ask men under the age of 30, only 49% of men consider themselves highly masculine. There's basically been a 40% decline in the perception of masculinity. Now, why is that? I would say partly it's because their testosterone levels are lower than ever for young men. But also I think there's this societal conception that there's something toxic about masculinity. It's sort of become a bad word. I think that's unfortunate because, as I've talked about very publicly, both masculinity and femininity in their positive, healthy, fully mature forms are a positive force for society. But anyway, you basically see that both in mind and body, men aren't men anymore. The reason for that is multifactorial. Number one, obesity is a big driver. If you have excess body fat, you have more of an enzyme called aromatase, which converts your precious testosterone into estrogen or estradiol. And so with obesity rates, 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. That also means that all that extra body fat is converting your precious testosterone into estrogen. The second thing is depression. Depression and other mental health issues can cause declines in testosterone levels, and unfortunately we have a mental health epidemic as part of the pandemic. And then third, and probably most surreptitiously, and I would say diabolically, are what are called endocrine-disrupting chemicals. These are chemicals that are commonly found in water, in plastics, especially receipts. Do not touch receipts if you're a guy, because they contain BPA. You may have heard of BPA because it's contained in Nalgene bottles and water bottles. Now, they have removed it from those bottles and aluminum cans, but there's still other endocrine disrupting chemicals such as BPS, which have not been banned. They basically act as what are called xenoestrogens or synthetic estrogens, and they disrupt your body's natural hormone production because they're being bombarded essentially with these synthetic estrogens. You also find them in non-stick pans, waterproof clothing, and fabrics. Now, it's hard to avoid all these things because how do you avoid all of these, products, essentially? We can't eat 100% whole foods and not touch any plastics ever. So the point here is not to be OCD about it, but it's just to become aware. It's probably wise to drink filtered water instead of bottled water. Probably wise to not cook in plastics or store your stuff. Put it in glass or steel that's non-reactive, and avoid touching receipts whenever you can. Those three tips are actually going to be very helpful to reduce sort of the endocrine disruption. That's kind of what's causing, I think, a lot of the testosterone epidemic, the obesity, depression, and these endocrine disrupting chemicals.